Discover the incredible truth: you couldn't survive 24 hours in a heartwarming medieval dungeon. Ben stood at the bakery counter, flour dust settling around him like memories of family dinners, laughter, and love. He had spent countless hours kneading dough, filling the town's stomachs with sweet loaves and warm pastries. For years, the small bakery in Maplewood had been a haven for residents, a place where tales of old came to life through the scent of bread. Yet, as the sun barely peeked through the clouds one chilling morning, Ben felt the weight of an uncertain future pressed down like a heavy stone. Utility prices were soaring, and foot traffic was dwindling. The heart of the bakery, his family legacy, beat weakly in the face of economic pressure. As he left to gather supplies, a flicker of hope turned into disbelief. On the outskirts of town, hidden behind a tangle of overgrown vines, was a neglected medieval-themed dungeon attraction, once a beacon of delight. It loomed ominously, occupied by memories of joy, laughter, and camaraderie, all now intertwined with the tales of its downfall. Ben peered through the rusty gates, imagining children's laughter echoing through the stone corridors, families forging bonds over games and storytelling. What if, he thought, his heart racing, this could be a gathering place for the community? His vision blossomed, igniting a fire in him that had dimmed over the years. But the glimmer of inspiration was quickly shadowed by harsh realities. The town council had plans to demolish the dungeon, viewing it as a crumbling eyesore rather than a piece of their shared history. Ben felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just about the dungeon, but about revitalizing hope in a town fractured by societal divides. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he partnered with Eva, the town's local historian, they created a proposal that told the dungeon's story, intertwining education and community spirit. The council meeting loomed, a battleground for hearts and minds. Ben readied himself, feeling the intensity of the moment swell. He stepped up to speak, the once confident baker transformed into a passionate advocate for change. Are we to let our differences weaken us as a community? Or can we embrace this opportunity to rise together? His words hung in the air, thick with anticipation. The murmurs in the room hinted at skepticism, but also a glimmer of hope. Just as he prepared to dive deeper into his plea, he scanned the crowd, a mix of familiar faces, all drawn to the heart of Maplewood. Determination surged within him. This was more than just a proposal, it was a chance to heal. As Ben finished his impassioned speech, the room felt charged with a tense energy. He could see the council members exchanging glances, some skeptical, others intrigued. He hoped they could feel his conviction seeping into the walls like the warm aroma of freshly baked bread. But doubt lingered in the air, thickening the atmosphere. Eva stepped forward. The historian's presence had always grounded Ben, and he was grateful for her steadying influence. "We have a chance to create something beautiful here," she urged, her voice clear and unwavering. "This dungeon, it's not just a structure, it embodies our history, our stories. It's a place where our children can learn about courage, our families can gather, and our town can unite again." She highlighted their plan, detailing ideas for community events, educational programs, and creative experiences that would reignite the spirit of the dungeon and, in turn, revive Maplewood. Every word fell on a mix of attentive and doubtful ears, but Ben noticed a few nods in response. Hope flickered again, like a flame reluctant to be snuffed out. A council member, his brow furrowed deeply, finally spoke up. "What you propose sounds lovely, but how do you expect us to fund this? We can hardly keep our roads repaired. We can't afford to save a playhouse." Ben's heart sank, but Eva pressed on. "What if we run fundraisers, enlist local businesses for sponsorship, and create partnerships with schools? The community wants this. It could be a project that brings economic growth to Maplewood." As murmurs of discussion filled the room, Ben felt his heart race. The seed of hope that had been planted in him now fought against the weight of their harsh realities. Countless scenarios raced through his mind. What if they couldn't convince the council? What if the dungeon was lost forever? But deep down, he believed in the power of a community fighting for its past to forge a brighter future. We need to show them that this isn't just a quirky idea, he whispered to himself, but a lifeline. Then, an unexpected voice rang out. What about the old reenactment troupe? It was Mrs. Lawson, a spirited local who had once organized the town's history festivals. They could help bring life back into the dungeon. Imagine festivals, storytelling nights, family fairs. Excitement rippled through the crowd, rekindling the spark of community spirit. Ben felt the tension ease as whispers of brainstorming bubbled forth. Could this be the turning point? Maybe, with a united front, the focus could shift from demolition to restoration. Time seemed to slow as council members exchanged sentiments, some nodding with renewed enthusiasm. Hope lifted Ben, but underneath, anxiety gnawed at him. What if the council still found a way to close the door? Just as the atmosphere buoyed with optimism, a stern voice cut through. We will take your proposal into consideration, but I make no promises. The council president's gaze was unwavering, and Ben's heart dropped again. As they left the meeting, Ben couldn't shake the unease. He turned to Eva, whose expression mirrored his trepidation. We made them listen, at least, he said, but it felt like a feeble comfort. The shadows of doubt were still creeping in. They walked through Maplewood towards the bakery, hopeful yet wary. Then he got a notification on his phone, an alert about a town council vote scheduled for next week. Suddenly, the battleground shifted, and urgency pulsed through him. Next week, he whispered, the weight of the moment crashing down on them. We have to gather more support, make it an event. Excitement battled against dread in his chest. Eva glanced at him, wide-eyed. But what will you do if it isn't enough? Ben stopped, a thought sparking in his mind. Was he truly ready to bet everything on this dream? And if the council didn't see the worth in their proposal, could he become the change Maplewood so desperately needed? The sun dipped low in the sky as Ben and Eva walked away from the council meeting. Shadows stretched across Maplewood's familiar streets, but the evening light held a promise of possibility. Ben's mind raced with plans, dreams, and a twinge of fear. We need a rally, he finally breathed, turning to Eva with newfound determination. Something big, something that draws everyone in. Eva raised an eyebrow, intrigued. A rally? You mean like a town gathering? But how do you plan on pulling that off? He paced a little, feeling the energy surge through him. We can set it for Saturday. We'll invite every resident, local businesses, students, families. We can have stories shared from the dungeon, maybe even reenactments. Reenactments, she mused, a smile creeping onto her face. It would really bring the place to life. We could do a bake sale, and maybe even a raffle. People love that kind of stuff. It'll show the council how much the community cares. Yes. We'll show them the dungeon isn't just a dusty relic. It's our heart. We can create an event that showcases what Maplewood is: the laughter, the tears, the stories. The idea took root, blossoming between them like a wildflower in a sunlit field. They brainstormed as they walked, plotting every detail: the invitations they needed to send out, posters to hang, and little flyers to hand out at the bakery, the library, and even in front of the schools. With every step, excitement bubbled up inside Ben, though the vestiges of doubt still hung around. Would the town actually come together? Would they really rally for something as old as the dungeon? Later that evening, Ben stood on his porch, gazing out at the stars as a cool breeze rustled the leaves overhead. He felt small in the vastness of the night sky, but the weight of determination steadied him. It wasn't just the dungeon that needed saving. It was a piece of their shared history. Taking that step, the town coming together, could spark something greater. Eva's voice broke through his thoughts. You know, it's not just about the dungeon, right? Ben turned, looking at her with curiosity. It's about us, she continued, her confidence unwavering. This town has been through so much, and it's forgotten how to gather, how to celebrate. This could be a chance for everyone to reconnect. Her words struck deep, resonating with a truth that injected even more urgency into his plans. You're right. If we can remind them of what it feels like to belong, to be a part of something greater than themselves, it'll mean everything. As they discussed logistics, ideas flowed freely. A bake-off, live music from local talents, a storytelling circle where the elders could share memories passed down through generations. They set it all up in the park, another beloved piece of their town. The next few days were a whirlwind. The two of them barely slept as they printed flyers, arranged meetings with local businesses, and coordinated volunteers. Hope soared as people began to respond positively. When Saturday finally arrived, the sun rose bright and warm. Colors danced in the air as laughter bubbled, and the smell of baked goods wafted through the park. Ben looked around, his heart racing with anticipation. Would they really show up? As the crowd began to gather, an electric energy filled the park. He stepped out in front of the sea of faces, heart pounding, ready to speak. Suddenly, just as he opened his mouth, a loud crash echoed from the direction of the dungeon. Ben's breath caught in his throat. What had just happened? Was this the unexpected turn he feared? What if the rally, his last chance, was attacked before he could even take flight? A gasp rippled through the crowd as Ben turned, his eyes glued to the ancient dungeon that loomed in the distance. The hushed murmurs of confusion spread like wildfire among the people gathered, their excitement now mingled with worry. What was that? Eva whispered, her fingers gripping Ben's arm tightly. He felt her pulse quicken, mirroring his own trembling heart. He couldn't shake the feeling of dread that clenched his gut. Instinctively, he stepped forward, moving toward the noise, while the townsfolk hesitated, unsure whether to follow. Stay here, he called back, his voice barely steady. Wait for me. As he approached, another loud crash sliced through the air, followed by the unmistakable sound of cracking stone. A shiver ran down his spine. What was happening inside the dungeon? Was this just some old structure giving way, or was there something far more sinister hidden behind those walls? Ben reached the entrance, and for a moment, he hesitated. Shadows danced within, the air thick with an ancient musk. The dungeon seemed to breathe, swaying with the weight of years gone by as if it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. He glanced over his shoulder at the crowd, who had mixed expressions of concern and fear in their eyes. Then a young boy with tousled hair came forward, his face pale. Are you going in there? Ben, you can't. It's dangerous. Ben knelt down to the boy's level. Trust me, kid. We need to figure out what's going on. I'll be careful. Please don't go alone. Eva's voice sliced through the tension. She edged closer, face lit with concern. I'll go with you. The decision was made in an instant. He put on a brave face, but inside, anxiety gnawed at him. Could they really face the source of the chaos? As they entered together, the darkness wrapped around them like an old friend. Inside, the chamber greeted them with a strange quietness, interrupted only by the occasional distant rumble. The air felt cooler, thicker, charged with something they couldn't quite identify. Ben's fingers brushed over the cold, rough stone walls, each one a reminder of history, of stories yet to be told. Look over there. Eva pointed toward the far side of the room, where a pile of stones lay scattered on the floor. An old, wooden chest lay partly exposed among them, the wood weathered and cracked. What is it? Together, they approached the chest, each step heavy with trepidation. Ben knelt down, brushing away debris to reveal intricate carvings that adorned its surface. His heart raced, anticipation and fear blending together. What do you think is inside? Eva asked, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know, Ben replied, swallowed by the moment. Part of him was excited, but another part wanted to turn back. What if they uncovered something dangerous? With trembling hands, he instinctively reached for the lid. Would this chest hold lost treasures or ancient curses? The question spiraled in his mind. Just as he lifted the lid, a sudden shockwave reverberated through the dungeon, knocking both of them back. Dust swirled in the air like smoke, and the ground trembled beneath them. Ben! Eva cried out as they stumbled to regain their footing. He stared at the chest, wide-eyed. Had they awakened something? With hearts thundering, staring at the chaos, the rally faded into the background of their minds. This wasn't just about saving the dungeon anymore, this was about confronting the unknown. What lay waiting inside that chest, and what consequences would it bring to Maplewood? As the dust settled around them, Ben and Eva blinked against the haze, their hearts racing. The chest lay open at their feet, but it held no gold or jewels. Instead, a soft glow pulsed from within, illuminating their faces with an eerie light. Ben, what is that? Eva's voice wobbled, eyes wide with trepidation. The warmth radiating from the chest seemed to wrap around them like a comforting blanket, even as fear clutched at their throats. I don't know, Ben admitted, his eyes fixed on the glow. It reminded him of fireflies on a warm summer-esque night, flickering with life. Slowly, he edged closer, curiosity overcoming his fear. Suddenly, the glow brightened and projected strange shapes on the walls, twisting into shadows that danced like memories. A rush of wind swept through the chamber, carrying with it whispers. Words he couldn't quite understand, yet they tugged at a forgotten part of his mind. Do you hear that? He asked, turning to Eva, who stood frozen in place. Yeah, but it feels wrong, she murmured, stepping back. What if it's a trap? Before Ben could respond, something stirred inside the chest. A delicate hand-like figure shot upward, formed from the glowing essence, shimmering before them. Its presence felt ancient, yet undeniably alive, and a voice resonated in their minds, filling the space around them. Awakened at last, the guardians of lost tales. Ben swallowed hard, his throat dry. Guardians? What do you mean? You seek to know the truth, it replied, its voice soothing yet powerful, echoing like thunder. But the truth often unveils more than what the heart desires. Only those who are brave can withstand what lies ahead. Eva took a step forward, eyes narrowing at the glowing figure. What will it show us? The figure extended its hand, palm open, inviting them to come closer. Fear gripped Ben's chest again, but alongside it, he felt an unexpected thrill. Could this be a chance to learn about their town, about the stories hidden in the shadows? Ben, we can't just trust it, Eva cautioned, her voice sharp. But as she spoke, the outline of the figure shimmered with an almost magnetic pull, drawing Ben's attention deeper. I have to know, he replied, his voice stronger than he felt. We have to understand what we released. Just then, the ground beneath them trembled again, more violently this time, as cracks snaked out from the chest, threatening to break apart the very foundation of the dungeon. The whispers from the figure grew louder, almost like a chant, urging them to choose. Return or embrace your fate. Ben and Eva exchanged glance filled with uncertainty. Was this their moment to face whatever force they had accidentally awakened? Or was stepping closer going to condemn them in ways they couldn't comprehend? Ben, this could be dangerous, what if? But before she could finish, he reached for the figure, fingertips brushing against its glowing hand. The moment their skin met, a jolt surged through him, igniting his every nerve. Colors erupted around them, wrapping them in a tapestry of memories, visions of Maplewood's past dancing before their eyes. As histories unfolded, laughter and sorrow intertwined, Ben gasped for breath, feeling the weight of ages pressing down upon his shoulders. Eva, I think I see. But even as the truth began to reveal itself, dark clouds formed in the corner of his vision. There was danger lurking, secrets that might unravel everything they knew about their town. Ben! We need to get out of here! Eva shouted, panic rising in her voice. Could they navigate through the revelations without losing themselves? What awaited them as they ventured deeper into the unknown? As time seemed to suspend around them, he realized their lives in Maplewood would never be the same again. The quest for truth was only beginning. What would they uncover when the shadows of the past confronted the light of the present? As colors swirled around them, Ben felt a rush of emotions clawing at his heart. Each hue pulsed with memories long forgotten, stories of Maplewood that were both familiar and strange. Laughter echoed, mingled with cries of despair, creating a symphony of joys and sorrows from the very foundations of their town. What is happening? Eva's voice trembled, laced with urgency as they stood on the precipice of enlightenment and terror. I can't, it's like I'm seeing everything at once. Ben gasped, trying to focus amid the chaos. Glimpses of faces he had known since childhood emerged. The elderly Mrs. Jenkins giving out treats on Halloween, the boy he once fought with over a game of sticks, their parents laughing during summer barbecues. But then the images darkened. He could see shadows creeping in, twisting the bright memories into something sinister. Ben, please. We need to go. Eva pulled him back, but he couldn't tear his gaze away from the unfolding tapestry. Wait. I think I can understand. He could feel the pulse of the glowing figure guiding him, shaping the visions into clarity. It's telling us something about the town's history. This is not just any chest, it carries the weight of our lives. But with each revelation, the tremors beneath their feet intensified, shaking them to their core. Cracks in the stone spiraled out like spiderwebs, threatening to swallow them whole. The whispers grew louder, their meaning coalescing into words he wished he could ignore. Ben, it's not just history, the figure's voice continued. It's a warning. You are the first to bear witness, but many have come before you. They sought to uncover the past, and were consumed by it. You must choose wisely. Knowledge or survival. Eva's face turned pale, an ice-cold fear gripping her heart. What did we awaken? What did we let loose? Only what was buried, the figure intoned, its ethereal form flickering. Knowledge is both a gift and a curse. Will you embrace the truth, or will you run from it? Ben's heart thumped painfully in his chest. This was more than just a chance to uncover forgotten tales. It felt like a test, a crossroad between saving themselves or forever being haunted by what could have been. He could almost feel the town's collective breath holding in anticipation of his answer. Please, Ben. We don't need to know everything. Eva pleaded, her voice breaking. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. The glowing figure's presence dimmed momentarily, and Ben's resolve faltered. What if uncovering the truth came at an unbearable cost? Yet, beneath the doubt, he felt a yearning to know, an insatiable hunger for the stories locked within the fabric of their history. But what if we can make a difference? What if understanding helps us heal? With that thought, he felt a surge of determination. He wouldn't let fear dictate his choices. Eva, he whispered, if we leave now, these stories could remain lost forever. We can change things if we just understand. Before she could respond, the air crackled with energy, and the whispers crescendoed into a roar. Then, in a flash, the vision surged. Figures of the past, some joyful, others sorrowful, swarmed around them, grasping at Ben and Eva, urging their decision. It felt as if the weight of an entire town rested on their shoulders, the consequences of their choice stretching deep into the future. Embrace your fate, the figure reiterated, its voice echoing through the chamber. Above the chaos, Ben caught a glimpse of something unexpected, a flicker of hope caught between the shadows. Ben, choose, Eva breathed, her eyes wide with fear and uncertainty. And then, just like that, a flash of darkness surged toward them, threatening to drown them in an abyss. What lay beyond that darkness? Would the truth release them, or would it claim them forevermore? Time was slipping away, and their choice loomed ever closer. Could they step into the legacy of their town, or would they let it vanish into oblivion? Just as the darkness surged toward them, a sudden clarity washed over Ben. It felt like the eye of a storm, a brief moment where everything froze. The colors faded slightly, creating a pulsing glow around them. He could see the glowing figure more clearly now, its features sharper, almost human-like. Ben! Eva cried again, panic creeping into her voice as she watched the shadows crash like waves against the stone walls. We have to decide. Now! His heart raced, fighting against the tide of emotions threatening to drown him. What should they do? Was knowledge worth the risk? But deep down, he realized that running would only mean letting the past fester. It was a choice between ignorance and understanding, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the past was far from dead. Eva, he said slowly, what if there's a way to confront whatever this darkness is? What if we can shine a light on it? Her eyes widened, looking at him like he had just suggested they dive into a lion's den. Are you serious? You think we can take on whatever this is? I know it won't be easy, Ben said, clenching his fists. But I can't help but feel that these visions are trying to guide us. We're stronger together, right? His words hung in the air thick with uncertainty. The chamber vibrated with desperation, the shadows whispering hungry promises of fear and chaos. Yet there was a flicker of something else in the air, a chance for courage. Okay, let us try, Eva shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. But what do we do? With newfound determination, Ben focused on the glowing figure, drawn to its light in the midst of chaos. Please, tell us what we need to do. How do we embrace our fate? The figure seemed to weave itself into the fabric of their reality, its voice resonating in their souls. You must confront the shadows, face the history buried within this town. Only then will you find the truth. As the shadows pushed closer, swirling like a furious tempest, Ben took a deep breath. We'll dive into the darkness together, Eva. No turning back. Are you with me? Always, she replied, her hand finding his, squeezing tightly. They shared a moment of silent understanding, a bond forged through shared fears and hopes. Ben stepped forward, pulling Eva with him. The shadows writhed and twisted, but as they approached, something remarkable happened. A crack of light broke through, illuminating their path. The echoes of laughter merged with cries of sorrow, intertwining and creating a melody that was not entirely joyful or sad. It was a symphony of the town's spirit, urging them onward. As they advanced, Ben felt the warmth of the past embracing them. Hold on, Eva. We're heading into the unknown. Together. We must face it. With every step, the darkness pulsed back, ebbing in response to their united front. Fear and hope danced within them, exchanging breaths of uncertainty and resilience. Suddenly, they plunged into what felt like a void, a space where the past collided with the present, something ancient and powerful swirling at the center of it all. But before Ben could grasp the full scope of this new reality, a piercing scream echoed around them. What was that? Eva gasped, eyes wide. I don't know, but it feels like the heartbeat of Maplewood, Ben whispered, the hairs on his arms standing on end. We must find out what it means. And as they moved deeper into the heart of the shadows, the fears of history and the faint hope of what could be entwined around them. What awaited them in this pitch-black abyss? Would they emerge whole or broken, bearing the weight of the town's untold stories? Only time would reveal the truth that lay hidden within the very bones of Maplewood. The screech echoed wildly, reverberating off the unseen walls of the abyss. Ben's breath hitched in his throat, the sound wrapping around him like a cold embrace. Eva glanced at him, terror painted in her eyes, but he could feel her resolve tangling with his own fear. I think he started, voice trembling but steadying as he spoke. I think it came from over there. He pointed ahead, where the shadows seemed to gather, thickening into a form amorphous, flowing, yet somehow holding shape. Eva blinked, her grip tightening on his hand. What if it's dangerous? He felt a pulse of heat rush through him, fierce and electric. It probably is. But it might also be the key. Uncertainty bubbled in him, twisting into determination. He was going to find out what this mystery was, even if it felt like dancing with fire. Together, they stepped forward, each footfall resonating in the echoing void. With every step, the melody of the town's spirit morphed around them, growing louder. It turned into a comforting hum like a lullaby infused with the weight of lost history. As they approached the swirling shadows, Ben noticed uprisings of flickering lights within them, glimpses of the past. Faces appeared, infinite and fleeting, townsfolk long forgotten, each wearing expressions frozen in time. He could feel their stories brushing against his skin like the whispers of the wind, tugging at his heart. See them? He whispered to Eva, awe spilling into his voice. They're trying to tell us something, to remember. Her face softened as she took in the sight. What if they're lost? What if they need us to understand? Then let us help them. He took a step forward, pushing deeper into the shadows, feeling their weight bear down on him. Those faces, they weren't mere echoes. They were the soul of Maplewood, the memories that shaped everything. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, gasping almost, their dark forms seeming to ripple in surprise. And through them, a single voice pierced out, a figure stepping into focus, cloaked in the fabric of twilight, its features barely recognizable but hauntingly familiar. Who trespasses in our forgotten realm? It boomed, voice as deep as the earth itself. What right do you have to seek the truths buried here? Ben swallowed hard. We want to help, he stuttered, the enormity of the situation crashing around him. We want to uncover the past. The figure's gaze was like a dagger against his skin. The past holds more than mere memories. It carries pain, and it exacts a toll. Are you willing to pay? Eva shifted beside him, her voice steadier now. We're out of options. If we don't confront this, our lives will remain haunted by the shadows. The figure seemed to study them, eyes glinting like shards of ice. Then slowly, the darkness began to shift, swirling like a whirlpool drawing them inwards. Very well, brave souls, it finally said, voice echoing with ancient wisdom. If you wish to uncover the truth, you must face the heart of Maplewood's darkness. The time has come to confront your own fears intertwined with our history. As the shadows parted, revealing a pathway lined with flickering lights each glowing with stories long silenced, Ben felt apprehensive but also exhilarated. This was it, the moment where they might learn what lay tangled within their town's soul. But deep within his core, a growing doubt whispered, what horrors awaited them in the heart of that darkness. And as they stepped forward, the world faded into shadow once more, leaving behind only the thought of what they might become should they succeed or fail. Ready? Eva's voice trembled, daring yet filled with fear. Ready as I'll ever be, Ben replied, and they surged forward together into the tempest of history, hearts pounding against the echoing silence. Was the cost worth the truths they were about to unearth? Only time could tell, and with that uncertainty, they embraced the unknown, stepping toward a destiny wrapped deep in the heart of darkness. The path opened up before them like a long-forgotten promise. Pale light flickered, illuminating fragments of the past, a market bustling with laughter, a festival filled with dance, children chasing dreams in the streets. Each moment felt alive, yet sealed away in an echo. Ben's heart raced, the air thick with emotion and unspoken fears. As they ventured deeper into the darkness, the weight of silence pressed in, a stark contrast to the vibrant memories dancing just out of reach. The faces glimmering within the shadows shifted, their eyes pleading for acknowledgement. It was as if they were trapped in a timeless loop, longing for connection, waiting for someone to break the cycle. What if we can help them? Eva said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. What if we only make things worse? Ben squeezed her hand, the warmth grounding him against the rising tide of doubt. We have to try, Eva. It's what we came for. He paused, his thoughts spiraling. These people deserve to be remembered. We can't turn our backs on them. The figure from before began to reemerge, its form solidifying in the flickering light. This is where the truth lives, it intoned, dark and echoing. But every truth carries its own pain. Are you prepared to face what lies ahead? Feeling the raw weight of responsibility, Ben nodded firmly. We're ready. We want to understand. The entity remained silent for a moment, then suddenly raised an ethereal hand. A wave of energy surged forward, enveloping them. Ben gasped as images rushed into his mind, scenes of joy shadowed by sorrow, laughter drowned in heartache. He staggered back, trying to press the visions away, but they came like relentless waves. The townsfolk he had seen just moments ago were now screaming in agony, faces twisted in despair, their stories embodying loss that tore at the fabric of Maplewood's history. Eva, his voice shook. We have to get out of here. But she stood rooted, transfixed by the torments swirling around them. No, Ben! Listen! Amid the chaos, a single image emerged, a young girl, her face stained with tears, holding a small wooden doll. She looked directly at them, her sorrow piercing through the despair. They need to know, she whispered, her voice slipping through the shadows like a fragile thread. You must help us remember. Remember what? Ben cried, wrestling with the weight of his heartache. What happened to you? Why is this the truth? With a sudden clarity, the darkness parted, revealing a tall, ancient oak at the heart of the swirling memories. Its gnarled branches were adorned with fading photographs of the townsfolk, their lives, hopes, and dreams encapsulated in fragile paper. A silent plea resonated within him, urging him to reach out. He felt the pulse of history in his veins, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last. "We can't just walk away," he murmured, realization dawning as emotions tangled. The past wasn't solely a burden, it was a voice demanding recognition. But the ground trembled beneath them, the shadows flickering with anger. The figure shouted again, "You must decide. Will you confront the truth, or will the past drag you into the void?" Ben exchanged a glance with Eva, their resolve intertwining. "We have to confront it," she said, voice steady. "For them." As they moved toward the ancient oak, Ben felt an unfamiliar rhythm drumming in his chest, a pulse of courage rising above the fear. Each step was filled with a strange energy, a promise to honor not just the history of Maplewood, but the lives that had shaped it. Yet as they approached the oak's embrace, Ben felt a looming dread. What chaos would they unleash if they dared to uncover the truth? "Eva, what if we can't handle what's buried here?" His heart raced, fear clawing at his throat. She turned, eyes bright yet shadowed. "Then we face it together." And as they stepped forward, Ben felt the world shift beneath them, a great awakening waiting to unfold. But could they truly withstand the weight of all that lay beneath Maplewood's surface? With determination, they reached for the gnarled bark, ready to peel back the layers of history, but the shadowy figure roared, "Beware the cost of such revelations." What lay beneath was still shrouded in darkness, and even as they prepared to uncover the truth, Ben couldn't shake the question: would they emerge transformed, or as lost as the souls they sought to free? The moment they touched the ancient oak, a surge of energy coursed through Ben and Eva, pushing them back slightly. The air thickened, swirling around them like a fierce storm, fueled by ages of guilt, loss, and forgotten fears. Ben felt the pulse of Maplewood's past echoing in his chest, relentless and alive. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the oak, illuminating the chamber, and casting aside the shadows that had lingered for too long. Faces of past generations filled the air, their expressions etched with decades of laughter mixed with untold sorrow. He recognized Mrs. Jenkins, the jovial baker from his childhood, her smile now soft but filled with longing. "Help us remember," her voice floated on the breeze, merging with others, a cacophony of lost stories intertwining. "We need you." Ben's heart ached as he stood at the precipice of understanding. Every whispered plea felt like a lifeline reaching out, beckoning him forward. With Eva by his side, they pressed through the light, the warmth wrapping around them like the embrace of an old friend. "Tell us. We're here to help," Ben called out, his voice steady in the chaotic symphony of memories. The oak vibrated, its branches bending under the weight of shared purpose. Moments of joy flashed before him, the street festivals, the children's laughter echoing through the hills, families dancing under a canopy of stars. But the scene darkened, transforming into sobering truths the abandoned homes, deserted streets, and the somber faces of those who once thrived. "Too many of us lost sight of each other," a deep voice resonated, belonging to a figure much like the one before. "Divide and despair crept in when your bonds frayed. You have the chance to heal." "I can't change the past," Ben said, frustration seeping into his voice, "but I can honor it. We want to remember." A silence fell briefly over the swirling case. Then, as if the very air conspired to show them the way, the oak channeled a vision. Ben saw the town council chamber filled with heated arguments, families torn apart by misunderstanding, the laughter of children replaced by echoes of indifference. "This is what the darkness holds," the spirit urged. "But unity can dispel the shadows." Ben turned to Eva, determination hardening in his chest, and nodded. "We can't let this become our history. We must bring the town together. This is our moment." Suddenly, the light flared brighter, and the shadows began to retreat. Each memory flickered, drawing him deeper, flooding him with visions of how connections could mend broken bonds. Evoked by those memories, he struck a chord within himself to feel the urgency. He had to act. "I see it!" he exclaimed, his voice ringing out triumphantly. "Eva, we can host a festival. A time of reconnection and celebration. We'll gather everyone to remember what made us whole." The flickering lights pulsed like a heartbeat in agreement, drawing strength from his newfound conviction. "Gather, yes. Remembering our stories will restore our ties," the ancient figure declared, its essence glowing fiercely. Before they could register, a rush erupted from within the chest, swirling colors materializing into a beacon of blinding light that enveloped them. Ben felt the warmth of hope flooding his veins, enveloping everything, drawing them up and out of the dungeon. The chaos faded behind as they were lifted into a realm of possibility, a world where hope blossomed and laughter echoed once more. Moments later, they found themselves back outside the dungeon, the sun pouring gently over Maplewood. The townsfolk that had gathered during their rally looked their way, eyes wide with anticipation and concern. Silence fell, tension hanging thick in the air. Ben stepped forward, heart racing, memories of the past etched into his being. "Folks, we need to remember who we are. We have to stand together, not just for the dungeon, but for ourselves. We can heal this town if we come together." Faces began to soften around him. He could see the sparks of hope igniting. "Remember Mrs. Jenkins' bakery? The festivals we had? Let us recreate it all, and celebrate who we are." Slowly, smiles broke out among the crowd. Whispers turned to laughter as he spoke of food, music, and stories shared, building paths from past to present. They began replying, voices intertwining to match his enthusiasm. "Let this spring bring our stories back to life," Eva added, stepping beside him, her eyes sparkling with shared joy. "With every loaf we bake, know that we forge connections moving forward." The townsfolk raised their voices, a collective cheer rising up like a tide. Together. Warmth enveloped Ben as he watched hope grow, and with it, the bonds of their community. They might have uncovered darkness, but they also sparked a chance for transformation, casting aside shadows of the past. Finally, as dusk settled gently over Maplewood, the ancient oaks shimmered in the distance, an enduring reminder of their journey, a beacon standing proud as stories started to intertwine once more. And as the first stars began to twinkle above, Ben looked around at the faces of his friends and neighbors, feeling the love and connection that flourished among them. It wasn't just about saving a dungeon. It was about rekindling the essence of Maplewood, a vibrant community intertwined by laughter, love, and the indomitable spirit of those who dared to fight for their home. Now, he breathed deeply, who's ready for a festival? The roar of excitement that followed echoed through the night, wrapping around them like a warm hug. Ben smiled, his heart pounding with anticipation. They were finally moving forward together, and nothing could dim the light they had ignited. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support to our channel. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment below your thoughts about this emotional conclusion, so we can start a conversation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.